So welcome guys to our third masterclass. So we're getting the hang of things. We should be feeling like we're settling into a bit of routine, hopefully. This week we're going to talk about what are the stats telling you. Now what do I mean by stats? There's loads of different things we're working off. And that's the beauty of this. That's why we like to look at a whole range of different things. So we're not just fixated on number 7, which is your weight. So you've got the InBody scan. We all got our InBody scan hopefully on the first week. We've got measurements, so we should be doing that every week. If you need any help with that, let me know. Before and after photos, we're going to talk about that because a lot of us cannot face up to that. 4 is our body fat percentage, so that's linked into the InBody scan. Number 5 is energy levels. Now that's something that's a little bit more just personal and it's based on how you feel. There's no kind of stat you can really base on that. Are your clothes fitting? Well, that's going to be personal as well. It's going to be based on how you feel in your clothes. And then we've got the weight. So we'll go through it all. Again, it's nice to have, and there's more than that, but it's nice to have 7 points of reference, because then if you're having a really bad week with your weight, well, look, my clothes are fitting better. So it's getting the whole rounded picture. So when we look at the InBody, what is that InBody showing you? Well, this is a January intake. So you're going to be for a lot of us, it's going to be a tough point because we've overindulged over the Christmas period and then we're trying to work our way back into some sort of routine. So the InBody for a lot of us would be a wake-up call, and it is a tough one when it's not going your way, but it's also lovely when you start seeing the stats going the right way. So the InBody, to its couple of flaws, is pretty high-tech equipment. The one thing I would say about the InBody when we are checking our stats is trying to get our InBody done at a consistent time. Its one weakness would be water retention. So a lot of you guys, that's why we don't recommend you go on it when you are totally dehydrated. That's eliminating after exercise, or if you're cycling up, because your muscles will be activated, so you'll have an inaccurate reading, especially if you've been like in the gym and your muscles are all contracted. It's going to give you an inaccurate reading, so you need to be at rest and trying to keep it done at the same time. But the InBody will give you a whole range of stats, including your body fat percentage, but it's a good overall health marker. It's nice to see different stats. So you've got the whole InBody sheet, and it's got a huge array of stats. So you've got your InBody score, which is really dumbing down the sheet, and I don't like saying that, but it's giving you a test result score. So if you see a higher result the next time you're on it, something's gone right. You've got your weight, which is what most people fixate on, but oftentimes people's weight stays the same, but their muscle mass increases. Well, that's great. We want to see our muscle mass increase, and we're not all looking to be bodybuilders, but we just want some muscle tone because that will add to the effectiveness of the program. Muscle mass will only really come along if you're training. The problem with overdoing things and just going into an extreme weight loss diet as such is you'll lose muscle mass. So there was once someone on the program who didn't train, went into a quite hefty calorie deficit, did a lot of running and lost 6 kilos, but 4.5 kilos of that was muscle. So you do not want that. So you need to balance it out. With the InBody scan, you will also see a breakdown of your visceral fat level. So we all need visceral fat. We live in Ireland, it's bloody freezing, but we need a small amount of it. Why? Because visceral fat is dangerous. It is the fat that covers your organs. We do not want too much of it. Now, it does come down a little bit slower than your body fat, but it is a good metric to have a look at, and it's making sure that we're bringing it down at a controlled manner and not doing it at extreme paces. Because what happens when we tend to lose weight and body fat at an extreme pace is we go back into old routines and it goes back up at an extreme pace. So it's watching out for that. So measurements. Now again, all of us should have been given a little bit of an intro on how to do measurements at your InBody day. But if you have trouble with it, our main points of contact with the measurements are your bicep. Now make sure it is not in a flexed state. It needs to be relaxed. So generally when I do it with people, we're relaxed. Our palm of our hand is looking at our head. I will find the biggest area, surface area, and I will measure you up from that point, and we'll do both sides. The key thing is you're not flexed and you're relaxed. Then we will do the chest. What I get people to do is stand to the side, both arms up, and I will measure it. It's important to measure from the side because oftentimes when we measure from the back, some of the measuring tape might be down and it's an inaccurate reading. Then moving from the chest, we go to the waist. So we point in at the belly button, and the same thing I have to see from the side to make sure the circumference of the measuring tape is even. So I'll measure across the belly button. Then we go with the hip. So again, with the hip we're looking for the area of greatest circumference around the pelvis. Okay? And then we'll finish off with the quad. With the quad, I will get the person to put their foot up on the chair. I'll measure out the length of the femur, okay? So let's say it's 15 centimeters. I'll go to 7.5 and I'll measure around that. It has to be accurate, guys, because if I'm measuring 15 and then you measure 17, it's going to be a different reference point. So you have to have a consistency when it comes around to measurements. If you have any trouble with that, let me know and we can review it. But the accuracy of measurements, a lot of human error can happen in measurements. That's why we brought in the InBody scan, because it's a consistent machine. When you do something like a calipers or measurements, human error inevitably comes in and you can get a bit of a sway of results, and we don't want that either. So that's your measurements. What do the measurements tell you? Well, if my overall centimeters was 195 and the next time I do my measurements and they're 189, well, something is going in the right direction. Again, if you shouldn't have huge sways, 10, 15 centimeters. If something like that happens, then it's an inaccuracy. Especially if you're doing it on a week-to-week basis, you might see small centimeter changes, but like something drastic shouldn't happen over a week. Then it's down to inaccuracy. Before and after photos. Okay, this is the one that most of you guys have a big hang up on. And I will say, and I don't like bring myself into things, but I've been through the process. If you don't know already, I've been at 117 kilos. I've been at 80 kilos. I'm probably sitting about 90 kilos at the moment. So like I do sway an awful lot depending on my goals. Before and after photos are good because what you see every day. What someone else sees they don't see every day. So you'll often get, if you're going through a bit of weight loss, you won't see the differences until someone else sees it. Before and after photos are great because you will see a lot more differences than what maybe you're looking at in the mirror. So before and after photos are good as well. It will take it's putting a lot of responsibility back onto you. If you cannot settle for what you're looking at, there's something like inevitably wrong. So it is a good one. It's not something that you just want to, it's not to brag about, it's just something to see a different perspective on things, and it's taking ownership and giving it back to you, because you need to take ownership of your body. And I feel before and after photos are giving you that ownership of like, okay, you don't like what you see, well then we need to put it to work. And it's not fat shaming, it's not shaming your body, but it's trying to empower you to make changes if you don't like them. Now I know we can be the harshest critics. What I see in the mirror and what someone in the gym sees in me is completely different, but it's taking a bit of ownership, not being obsessive over it, but then just getting that other feel for, okay, my weight stayed the same, but Jesus, do I look a lot better in the mirror? Again, everyone likes to look good in the mirror naked. It's inevitable. If you don't, then you're lying. Everyone wants to look good in the mirror naked. I'm not saying nobody post before and after photos naked. I did not say that, but that's the goal. You want to look good in the mirror for yourself, And yeah, before and after photos will give you that. Body fat percentage, that's linked into your in-body sheet. There's different scales of percentages on acceptable levels and overweight levels. The in-body sheet or the in-body itself, for male 10 to 20%, for female 18 to 28%. Now, just above that will be slightly obese, just below those figures will be slightly underweight. Again, for males, generally 10 to 12%, you start seeing visible abs. And females can vary, but somewhere between that 16 to 20%. But yeah, it's good to see where you are body fat percentage wise. And as I said, if your weight stays the same, but your muscle mass increases, your body fat percentage will decrease. Why is that? Well, a greater proportion of your body weight is muscle, but your weight stays the same. So that's the great thing about the body, the in-body sheet and the in-body scanner. It doesn't just weigh you, it gives you so much more. Energy levels. But this could be something you do on a spreadsheet where you wake up and you just do a body scan, you feel how you are, and you can go on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel energy wise? And that's just, it's very individual, but it's good to assess, especially like that could link in with sleep. Well, what's my energy levels on rising? Well, geez, I feel lethargic today. Now you could take it first thing in the morning, or you could take it middle of the day, but try and keep it consistent and give yourself a 1 to 10. And it's good to assess because you can see how your food is affecting, or your sleep is affecting your energy levels. Clothes fitting. I don't know how I could count 100 times someone saying that dress that's been sitting in the wardrobe that I could never bear to bring out has finally fitted me. That's what, like, that trumps all this stuff. You don't need you don't need stats to say that something's gone right. If there's a dress that's been sitting in there gathering dust, you finally get it out and it fits you. I'd always judge it myself on how do my jeans fit, because jeans are, I hate them, but they do tell me where I am. If they fit, if it's a 32 and they're fitting me perfectly, things are going right. If it's a 32 and it's getting a bit snug and I don't need a belt, then we're letting ourselves go a little bit. So that's again individual, but there's nothing better than when something fits and you're like, you feel really confident in it. Now we get on to the weight. That's why I left it to the end, because a lot of people put the weight up at number 1. What is weight telling me? So many different things. Unfortunately, and most of you guys who are watching this will be female, you will have things a lot harder. If you're perimenopausal and you look at your weight, it's going to be all over the place. If it's time of the month, it'll be on the higher end. Males, we have it easy. Well, yeah, we do. But when we look at weight, without over obsessing over it, I would recommend you guys taking a daily measurement. And I've said this over and over. It's not to become obsessive, but I'll show you exactly why right here. So if you went down a weekly measurement approach, and I just went, I'm going to weigh myself on Saturday. I'm 91.5 kilos. If you look at all the weights throughout the week, 90.1, 91.2, 90.8, 91.1, 90.6, 90.2. Well, I've weighed myself on Saturday, 91.5. I'm the heaviest I have been all week. I've gained weight. Where if you took your daily measurement, you get a trend line. So what? 91.5. My weekly average was 90.7. So I wasn't actually 91.5. I just had one day where maybe I went out that night before, or maybe, I don't know, just the way it is. I was carrying a little bit more water that day. So I checked my weekly average. I'll go again next week. There's another big day there on Thursday where I'm 91.2. But then on Saturday I'm 89.9. So that's nearly 1.3 kilos in the difference. And look, my daily average or my weekly average has gone down 0.2. I see a trend. That's where the daily weight, I think, is huge. Try to stay away from your weekly weight, because again, you could just hop on the scales and look, I hop on 91.5, I'm just going to give up. Where if you look at a trend, you could see 1.5 kilos in the difference through a week. For some of you, you mightn't see much difference, but especially female, time of the month, perimenopausal, a lot of those little factors can wreak havoc on your weight, but stick with the measurements. They are very good. What did they tell you? Well, especially if you've had a hard weekend, you're going to stay up. But the thing is, with water retention, you're not just like, if you have a heavy weekend, it doesn't just go straight on as body fat. I think people get this impression that I had a bad weekend, I'm just going to pack on 2 kilos. Yeah, you might increase a kilo or 2, but it'll slowly come back down. The water retention, all that, everything that you've extra glycogen stores and stuff like that, it'll all like dissipate after a while. It's when we do sustained overindulgence, that's when we slowly creep the weight on. You don't just creep 2 kilos on every week unless you're eating mad amount of calories. So it's just getting away from the idea of you're just going to pack on weight really quick. Okay, you will have bad days, you will have good days, but your weight will moderate in a sort of sense, and you can see you're not going to change too much. Now, it's also good to see if you're doing something wrong, and let's say I'm 90.5 on week 2, and then I go along my stats again and I'm back up to 90.7. Well, something's going wrong there, I'm gaining weight. So what are the stats telling you? It's good to have different points of reference. I have 7 here. I haven't put them in order of importance or anything like that, but it's good to have those different stats. As always with these masterclass videos, guys, interaction is key. I'm only going over a brief summary of the points. I know you guys don't watch hour-long videos, so that's why I've kept them short and concise as much as I can. But make sure you answer any questions below, be it on Facebook or WhatsApp, and we'll continue the conversation below. I'm going to have another video coming your way next week, so I'll see you at the next one.